In this tutorial, I want to familiarize you with the stroke animation option. So the stroke animation is the first option that you see when you open up the animation tab. It's kind of our signature animation effect. And you'll notice that below it is a dash animation, and you really can't have a dash animation and a stroke animation at the same time. So really, it's either one or the other one. But right, for this tutorial, I just want to look at the stroke animation. So the stroke animation is, many of you are familiar with the whiteboard animations where it draws in a line, and I'm just going to go ahead and choose a solid color in order to do that. And incidentally, you can see here that I've got a palette selected with multiple colors, and if I choose a solid color, it's only going to choose one, so I really only need one. And if I want to be sure which one it's using, you really need to go through and make sure that it's only one color selected. So if I want that to be colored in green, then I can do that. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit the Shift spacebar key to apply that. And you can see that it's drawing in that animation. Okay, so pretty simple and straightforward. It just doesn't have a hand like a whiteboard program. But again, you can color it and so forth. Now, if you wanted it to be random, you could put a different color in here. So if I did that and hit the Shift spacebar key, it's going to randomly put a couple of different colors there. Now, the thing to kind of know about that is that, let's get this zoomed in so I can control this timeline a little bit better. Thing to understand is that first of all, it's going to be random, and second of all, it really kind of, if you have something like a primitive on there, then it's not going to have multiple shapes to work with, and therefore it can't randomly select different colors. So here, let me demonstrate that. If I have a circle here, and notice by the way that that circle has a fill, and I can easily go ahead and remove that here. So if I have that circle and I come up to the same kind of thing here, it's going to randomly select between the orange and the green if I apply an animation. Looks like I didn't specify that. So it only did one color because there's only one line to work with. And if I hit Shift spacebar again, it might, it randomly chose green instead. So that's one thing to be aware of when you're working with this. So you can get a nice kind of interesting effect. So if I come into the library here and choose something with a lot more kinds of lines on it, this has quite a bit. Let's try this one. And I apply that. So I'm going to get a lot of different variety here, and if I apply it again, it might be completely different. Okay, so notice also that because these two are different in the sense that I have more lines on this one, so the whole animation is taking longer because I have more different things. It's telling me next line, start, delay, and so forth. I have more lines to draw, so it's going to take more time. So if you want them to draw in the same amount of time, you can adjust that, of course, on the timeline. And so it's one reason why we actually did that, so that you can get things to match. Now you can also play with the settings here to try to get them to match as well. So in other words, like I might adjust the time that it goes in between each one and things like that for those effects. So that's for solid color. Now notice that you can do draw in and draw out, but not draw in or draw out, but not draw in and out and draw and appear for solid color. Those are options that are reserved for animated multicolors. So let's take a look at that. So I'm going to animate multicolors, and let's go ahead and get a color palette with multiple colors just to kind of get a good variety there. And so what's going to happen when I do that, let's go draw in and out so we can see the full effect. And I have this selected. I'm going to hit Shift spacebar. And you can see here that what it's doing is it's cycling between these colors, going around, and it's repeating. It's doing kind of a loop animation, right? And once again, this should be different from this one. So let's apply the same animation to this one. Okay. And let's do the draw in and out. And the time is different for them. In this case, some of it has to do with the fact that this is a bigger, longer shape than any of the shapes that are here, for it to kind of loop around. So this one is longer because it's got a longer, bigger, longer shape, to do that loop. So again, just be aware that the different shapes are going to result in different times, but you can get them to match by using the timeline. So down here you'll notice that the controls for the animated multicolor are a little bit different. Now I can't do the line speed or the next line start delay because it really kind of does everything at once. So I can delay the drawing. I can delay when it starts. I can I can speed it up, and there's a number of loops that I can change, and I can also change the direction, which is pretty cool. So there's you have a series of controls here, and they're different depending on the stroke animation and the animated multicolor selection. But one of the things that really just wanted to key in on was that each shape, because we're drawing lines and because it takes a time to go over that, according to the settings, their duration might be a little bit different. And so once again, you can get them to match by just using the timeline's ability to drag things and be able to match that way. But again, I can also try to get them to match if I want to have a little bit more control by adjusting the settings over here, and you can play with that to get something new, cool and interesting, and try to get it a little bit more than maybe the way you want it.